welcome to Wednesday Night Undressed. Oh yes, it's another one of those evenings in the sleaziness of Conroy's. And as we slide around on dead steak fries and other things that we won't talk about, let me introduce our panel for tonight's debate. The Magic Dr. Orlando, the indefatigable Kathleen Taylor, the legendary Tyler Durden.
I tell you what's good.
Oh, yes. The Dark Lord of Transylvanian Pheromones, Ivo Ivanov. And guesting today, fresh from the army, Chris Magerkurth.
Yeah.
Hello.
You missed to indicate that we're generously sponsored by absolutely nobody.
Yes. But
Is that a new flavor of vodka?
Mr. Conroy does allow us to come here and do what we do.
Yeah.
Got some interesting questions for the panel today. Our cat at home looks like he's about to turn his toes up. He's going to wake up dead one morning very soon, and that will lead us to having to make a decision. Do we want to replace the cat with a cat, or do we want to replace him with a dog, which will be a shaggy dog? But my question is, what does the panel think? It's a very quick one. This is a quick fire question. What does the panel think? Which is superior, dog or cat? Which is superior,
Yes.
dog or cat? Let's start with Tyler.
I agree with Catherine, yes.
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 Yeah, they both kind of have their positives, but if you're going to put a gun to my
both
head,
have
Pause. Positives. Was that a pun?
Positives. Oh, very
pun
good.
intended, I'd probably go with cat because cats just don't give a shit.
Right.
Because I like cats and their attitude. Whereas dogs, they don't. Dogs break too easy. Cats are like, yeah, eat shit, get out of my way.
Tyler, you ignorant slut. This
Correct.
is completely the wrong answer.
No, this is the completely right answer.
Obviously, dogs are superior. They help us hunt.
Oh, do we hunt now?
Really? Because my cat will go out and hunt mice and bring them back to me live, right, and put them right at my feet.
But that's only because your cat
bring,
thinks you're too stupid to go get your own food.
It's still helping
No. You see, I have to go hunting and take my dog with me. I can sit on my couch, and my cat will go hunting and bring the food back to me. I don't have to get off my ass at all.
But who's to say? I mean, the dog. You throw a stick for the dog, and the dog looks at you and goes, "Okay," and he goes off and he gets the stick and he brings it back and drops it at your feet. Says, "I brought it back." And what do? You pick it up and throw it again. And he goes, "Well, I don't know why you did that, but I'll go and get it again for you." And he brings it back. And you pick it up and you throw it again. He goes, "What the fuck? I just brought it back twice." What do you think, Evo?
Well, there's two very different animals, and I mean Tyler is in a way right, because if you look at the nature of the cat, imagine the cat was our size, we'd be dead. Cats, like you said, they don't give a shit. They're apex predators. They will kill your ass, and there's no remorse and no loyalty. They will eat you. And the only mistake Tyler made was when he said my cat. No, it's not your cat. You're her servant.
You are correct. You are correct.
And the dogs are actually friends. Dogs are, there's breeds of dogs that are freaking loyal to a fault.
We train dogs, but cats train us. That's what
that is true. And dogs also, I mean, they amaze me on some level. The labs, they actually, a lot of the Labradors, they have a skill of detecting minute imbalances in hormones, and they can predict epileptic seizures, and they can warn you of an epileptic seizure. That's something that science even is puzzled with.
Cats can tell that stuff too. They just don't want to tell you.
Oh, they don't want to tell you. Yeah.
They're
Good
hoping
point.
you die so that they can eat you.
Yeah.
I just think, when our cat dies, I'm sure he's going to, but he gets away with things that I'm not allowed to get away with. Why is our cat allowed to crawl along the back of the settee, right? And then he nuzzles up to my wife's ear, and then he puts a paw down either side of her neck and starts playing with her wobbly bits. Why is he allowed to
And
do
then
that?
he gets
and I'm not?
picked up and thrown
That sounds
across
like a
the
personal
room as
problem.
well.
Yeah.
You said
It
wobbly
is.
beds. You should probably talk to your wife about that.
Yeah.
Can't have it,
Considering this cat is like 300 pounds. Have you seen that cat? It's literally the biggest cat I've ever seen in my life. It's
big cat.
insane. Yeah.
Did you hear about Jeremy talking about his giant pussy on the radio?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
That didn't
so
go well.
I have an
well.
idea. Let's move on as fast as possible.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Good call.
What small things? We've just had Valentine's and everything, and it's always a bit of a letdown. What small things does your partner do for you that doesn't cost much and shows that they genuinely care about you? Tyler.
Don't have one. Pass.
Look at the look on his little face. He's grinning from ear to ear.
His partner comes to his couch and brings a stick. Dead mouse.
There you go.
You get given dead mice. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it brings me food. There you go.
Well, my partner brings me tea.
All right.
That's
What
good.
small things? What about you, Chris?
My wife does a lot of little social things. I'm sort of a social nerd, and there's all kinds of little social things that I miss that she picks up on, and keeps our kind of relationship going.
Yeah.
Like what?
Oh, we had
for what do you mean by little social things?
Well, the biggest one I remember most recently is we just had our Chinese New Year's party, and one of the things she does is I'm kind of floating around to all the guests, but everybody who left, she walked them out to their car.
right.
Oh, that's nice.
So,
Yeah.
That's a small thing,
that
but
little
it's-
social grease stuff that,
Yeah.
as a couple, things that,
Someone
my
has
nerd
to
brain
do,
would just
yeah.
go,
Right.
Yeah.
she picks up
Evo,
on.
what small things does your partner do for you that doesn't cost much and shows that they genuinely care about you?
Well, there's a million things, but
Right answer.
I tell you what. No, I tell you what though. There's something you got me thinking here. Every person has some eccentricities. Everybody. I have a lot.
Really?
I do a
Wait,
lot.
I never
I-
guessed that.
I have a lot, but I need them. For example, I would go and play soccer on Sunday morning with a bunch of kids.
You'll
I
buy
would-
an 8-foot wooden giraffe.
I would buy an 8-foot wooden giraffe. I would go on Wednesdays, and instead of doing family time, I would get together with 5 freaks and do a podcast. All kinds of weird stuff. I watch sports in the most inopportune times when my partner wants to watch Gilmore Girls. And so, but she always lets me have those eccentricities. Because why? Because she understands that this is very important. It's extremely important to have space in a relationship to place those eccentricities. That's the only way a relationship can survive. And I'll tell you what, if I want to watch sports and she says, no, I want to watch this Gilmore Girls episode right now, I would give in, because in a very quiet way, she taught me that this is extremely important. So I appreciate having my space. And in every relationship, that's very important. You can, and after this diatribe, you can call me Dr. Phil. So go ahead, Louis.
Dr. Orlando.
At least once every week, my wife stops the beatings long enough for the scabs to heal. And
I was going to say that.
Wow.
Yeah, you should have seen him Monday. It was terrible.
That's a small thing. That's
it's
a small thing, but it means a
doesn't
lot.
really cost a whole lot.
It means a lot.
No, probably the thing that means the most to me, just a little something that she does that maybe she doesn't even know that it's a huge deal, is I would probably pick the laundry. Like, she does clearly the lion's share of the laundry. And she can just tell that it's not something that I'm particularly interested in doing. So
She doesn't want her clothes shrunk beyond recognition.
right,
can,
we
I
both
sympathize.
do it, but she, without question, takes on the lion's share and genuinely seems to do it. And if I ever ask her about it, she's like, "No, I know you don't want to do it, so I'll take care of it." I think that's very cool.
That's nice.
Good. Okay, next question. That I'm interested to find out. I'm not going there. Not with my wife sitting 2 feet away from me.
What the hell did I do?
Nothing. It's just a look. And I know
Were you
we're
looking at his
broadcasting.
wife?
You were looking at me, and it's as if so. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to get clipped around the ear. There are a lot of big deal things going on in the world today. and we need to be aware of them. But I'd be interested to know what you think is the most important global challenge facing the world today. What is the most important global challenge facing the world today?
Oh my God, there's so
What do
many.
you think? Let's start with Dr. Orlando.
So, as I was telling Chris about the show that we were going to have, we actually had a third friend that was sitting there with us. And I'm going to refrain from mentioning what his idea was because I think it's going to come up in the podcast. And I'll let you guys know then. But I told him that I absolutely disagreed with him. I think the most important global challenge that we face right now is global warming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, climate change.
Did you say bubblegum?
I said bubblegum.
Yeah.
No, global warming, climate change. I think that we are probably not having, what I want to say, we are having way more of an effect on the planet than we expect, and it is, I think that it is entirely possible that we could cause irrevocable damage to our living condition within the next 50 years.
Yes.
I'm not sure it hasn't already gone beyond
Well,
the point of no return.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, actually.
It's not. There's a tipping point, and scientific tipping point, where you cannot reverse it once that happens. It's not happened yet. It's once it
We're
happens.
so close there, man.
Yeah, I mean, once it happens, it's gonna be very, very quick and progressive. And this proverbial tipping point is actually there's a scientific threshold, and once it goes over this tipping point, it's extremely quick. And we're talking the temperature will rise a few hundred degrees. The oceans will boil over, will turn into Venus, basically. We are not there yet, but we're looking at possibly this century, the temperature rising 4 to 5 degrees. It's going to be catastrophic. And, you know, I know that the fossil fuel industry, the energy industry has adopted a strategy where they, basically their strategy is to cast doubt on science, on the fact that man-made emissions are responsible for the global warming. That's the wrong strategy, and it's self-destructive. I agree with Louis. This is the number one danger today, and we are not doing anything to, well, we're trying to, but...
And I think that the predictions of 5 or 6 degrees over the next century, did you say,
Yeah.
is way low. It's going to go up
Well,
5 or 6
that's-
degrees in the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's what the science says, but science have been shocked by the actual outpacing of their own prediction of the way climate change is going. So it's really scary. I mean, we all have read a lot about it. Obviously, everybody here can spit out a lot of data about this. What's really troublesome is we have an anti-science administration, clearly anti-science administration, that basically rejects data, empirical data.
I
So
wouldn't say it's just our countries, though. I mean, I don't think it's our fault. I think you see this
Oh,
giant
yeah.
conservative backlash
China.
across the entire globe. I would say the entire leaders of the entire world. We're
Yeah.
such in this very conservative mood right now that
Yes.
things like global warming are not getting the
Yes.
attention they need.
yes,
Well,
absolutely.
it's not just the leaders; it's the people themselves, because they see us with our, really great lifestyle, and they want it as well, not
Yep.
truly realizing that it's
Yeah.
our
There's a price.
massive consumption of things that is driving.
On the other
you know-
hand, I disagree, of course, that the worst problem is global warming. I think that the worst problem in the world at the moment is that we don't have enough kinds of beer.
That's also a problem. But
Yeah.
we have an abundance of everything. Yeah, I go to the grocery store.
I'll get right on that. I'll go home and start brewing. I'll get right
Would
on
you?
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I went to a grocery store. There were like 50 different kinds of toothbrushes. I mean, there's toothbrush, SpongeBob SquarePants-shaped toothbrush. There's a Luciano Pavarotti-shaped toothbrush. There's a singing. There's a freaking Dr. Seuss singing toothbrush. What the fuck do we need all these toothbrush, all this plastic that's going to end up in the freaking ocean and go into the big, the big island of trash in the Pacific Ocean? This is absolutely ridiculous. We don't need all this shit. We need a toothbrush to brush our teeth. It's out of control consumption.
What
has
about
gotten-
Yeah, it is.
we talk about global warming and we talk about this. What about technology? Is one of the most important global challenges facing the world today technology? That is to say that we have so much technology that there's going to come a point when there aren't any more jobs, and there will be fewer and fewer jobs. Who's going to look after people?
Robot
You just be
overlords.
quiet right now. There will be no bad talking about technology while I'm at the table.
Yeah.
I
but
wouldn't
the
say that
jobs will
problem.
just-
That problem is not strictly from today. That problem has been around for a long time, for decades. The amount of technology that we get moves so much faster than we're capable as a species of handling it, that it's been a problem for a long time. It just is growing exponentially, and by the time you go 20 years from now, God knows what it's going to be like. But I mean, it grows so fast. It's been that way for so long.
The jobs will just switch to taking care of the technology, because the technology ultimately won't be able to take care of itself. It will need some independent unit to come in and say, well, yeah, this bit needs replacing, or this needs an update.
Well, amazingly, in the beginning of last century, in the beginning of the 20th century, 75% of Americans were employed in agriculture. And when the Industrial Revolution happened and we switched to now only 3% are employed in agriculture, but there's still jobs. People are still working. So there's going to be a shift.
We need to connect the dots here, guys. Look, if the biggest problem is climate change and global warming, that means we are going to see catastrophe, which means we won't be producing all this technology. People are going to go back to struggling to live.
Yeah, the people who survive will,
So
be, the,
it's
will
not
be the
a
poorest
problem
among
with
us.
too much technology.
Yeah.
That's going to fix itself.
I like this topic. I agree with you, but I also think that we're talking all about things that we can actually control. We can reverse climate change if we try. We can do this. 2 years ago in Chelyabinsk, you remember what happened in Chelyabinsk 2 years ago in Siberia? A rock that was about 20 meters in diameter. That's not much. 20 meters is 1/5 of a football field. Came crashing to the earth and exploded with I don't know how many megatons of power, but it was like something like 5 times the size of Hiroshima. And thankfully, it exploded in the air, and it injured 1,500 people. And this is a small, tiny rock that we were completely unaware of. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, as you know, there's tens of thousands of objects. Some of them are extinction level event objects, and we don't know. We've mapped 1,600 potential objects that can destroy Earth, asteroids. There's thousands and thousands that we don't even know about. And when something like the Tunguska meteorite comes in 1908, Tunguska meteorite, when something like this comes, we will be unprepared and unable to do anything about it. We can just track it as it comes and have a lot of sex,
But
basically,
by that
before
time,
we die.
we are
you
going to
know.
have so
That's a
much
good plan.
technology and be so far out with global warming that we won't care any longer. Because all this
maybe
is going to
it's-
happen at
No,
once,
it
right?
can happen tomorrow.
We just need to kind of get together and just get on the horse and go to Mars. Let's just get off our ass and just.
That's one hell of a horse.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I like that.
terraforming Mars. It's
By the way, we clearly have ruined Earth, so we better find a new home. So.
well, but
I'd rather fix
terraforming
this one than, before we
You
go.
know, terraforming Mars probably be easier than terraforming Detroit. But you know,
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
but seriously, this is something that we cannot do anything about right now. So instead of, we need to harness our resources and think about things that are extinction level events. We know in the bottom of the Yucatan Peninsula there's an impact crater that indicates that this wiped out an entire species, all the dinosaurs that ruled the earth. But that's why we have fossil fuel now, and we're gonna burn it in the air and keep. In a way, dinosaurs will destroy us.
Well, I was-
bizarre little
The
way.
revenge of the
the revenge
dinosaurs.
of the dinosaurs.
Well, maybe it's time for the humans to go, and it's the cockroaches' turn. Maybe we're the next great extinction event, and life will continue on the planet. I don't see us turning into Venus or some vast wasteland. It will just the cycle
Think
will turn
cockroaches
over,
will get
and
bigger?
Life will just evolve.
How do you
I
feel
think,
perhaps
about
I think,
artificial
I think,
intelligence?
I think dinosaurs, may have been here before, and who knows how intelligent they were. I mean, dinosaurs might have been Christians.
They in 60 million years they might have evolved
All
into.
things bright and beautiful.
They probably evolved into, and they would have a second signal system. They would be talking, and
Yeah.
it's weird. But 60 million years is a lot of time, so who knows? By the way, have you thought of an extinction event caused by artificial intelligence? That's a real threat in the next 70 years or so, because we're, in
That
2050.
seems to be the biggest thing Elon Musk and
Yeah,
he's
Stephen
afraid
Hawking
of that a lot.
are afraid of. Yeah.
I am not worried about that at all.
Really?
We are so stupid. There is no way we could program artificial intelligence.
But it will program itself. That's where we're
No,
going to self-replicating self.
It took millions of years for us to involve our level of awareness. And if anything, it'll take at least that long for any kind of computational consciousness to arise. I mean, computers have been around for what, 60
I have
years,
to
70
say,
years?
Chris, with due respect and much love, that is a complete load of bollocks. In the
What are bollocks?
That's how he
Bollocks.
talks to everybody he loves. Yes.
70 years in history. I mean, because you're Americans, you think 70 years is a long time. In fact, 70 years is a peanut on a monkey's ass.
I agree. That's why
If you're
that's my
English,
argument.
Where
You
do
know,
you come
'cause
up
we-
with a peanut
No,
on
On
a
a
monkey?
monkey's ass. Nobody has ever seen a peanut on
Okay,
a
man.
monkey's
You know
ass.
what? I'm never
So my-
never going to go to the zoo with
So
you.
my point is that 70 years ago they were trying to build computers to break codes and stuff like that, and you now have in your cell phone a computer that is bigger than that. That was 70 years. So if they can go from a computer that's the size of this room, metaphorically speaking, to a cell phone in 70 years, where are they going to go in the next 70 years? And that's only 140 years ago to go. That's 140 years.
But what are you? What is the consciousness? How do you define
We
it?
don't know.
And that's
We
the
still
problem
don't
with
know.
artificial
Turing
intelligence.
test.
If you can't
Just go
define
ask
the
Washington.
problem,
The Turing
you
test.
can't write the code. Breaking a Nazi code was easy. You knew they had the Enigma machine first off, so they knew what they were doing with the code. They got lucky because one guy always used the same key when he started his messages, so that gave him the trick to say, oh, if we cut out all of these iterations based on this little key, we're all good and done. Chess. It's an easy problem. There's only a certain number of moves. There's a set algorithm that you come up with to say this creates the best solution for winning. Consciousness. How do you define love? How do you find curiosity?
Who says that
How
to
do you
have
define?
an artificial intelligence revolution, we have to define a consciousness.
We
They just have to
we
find a way to destroy people without wanting to, just because that's what makes your trip in your auto-drive car safer.
But also
if you crash into this
it will
car
always
instead of
have
that car.
a plug-in, and we can always unplug it.
we have a
We
country.
can always remove its electricity.
It won't necessarily always have that, and you
Yeah,
can get
well,
electricity from lots of
that
places.
thing has a battery, and batteries run out.
Batteries are going to be
If it
out.
has a solar cell, we just cover up
We
the
will
solar
create
cell.
machines that will be able to find charges, because that way we won't have to charge them.
Yeah. I saw the Matrix, and they were charging themselves. They were charging themselves using us. You know, there's 100 billion neurons in a human brain. Like a human brain is the most complex thing in
How
the
many?
universe.
There's what?
100 billion neurocells, but between them, there's a trillion connections, and there's the human connectome. We mapped the human genome in the late 90s, right? That was huge. Now there's an effort to map the human connectome, which will be enormous, because we'll be able to cure Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and schizophrenia and everything. We don't know where consciousness resides, and it's not clear if we're going to find out that even when we map the human connectome. But what we can do is replicate it, and there's like a really serious effort to map the human connectome. And that's kind of scary, because then we don't know where the threshold will be, where will be that event horizon that there's no coming back. If we create a mind, an artificial mind, and it realizes it's self-aware, it realizes that we could be an obstacle, that we can pull the plug, like you said, then it will start building safeguards, and who knows what can happen. And this can happen real fast, because the Moore's law, it's not a law, it's a tendency. It's actually progressing much, much faster.
Well,
So
it actually passed. from my readings, it actually passed the number that they could get on one silicon chip.
Yeah, but they're
most of the big
using-
chips are parallel processors now. They're stacking chips on top of chips, mainly because they figured out how to do the heat transfer and get the heat away from the chip, so they can put more chips together in a smaller space. Moore only talked about the number of transistors you could get on a single square inch or whatever it was of silicon.
Yeah, but now they're moving away from silicon and using nanotechnology. They can push atoms together to make new materials.
Yeah, but there's a threshold there where when you're too close to the subatomic particle level, where the electrons can start jumping around and get even, from the transistors around. I can't quite describe that one properly.
And they become uncontrollable.
Heisenberg's principle.
That's the part. Yes.
But yeah, but you know what? Nanotechnology is also a scary thing.
Hang on, just a minute.
I'm sorry, when did this become Science Friday?
So we now have a stand-up comedian who's just joined us. Mikey's just joined us.
Mikey Pokornky.
Where the hell did you find out about science, Mikey?
Oh,
I mean,
no,
come
he
up with
just
somebody's principles.
he just heard the Heisenberg principle and he had to throw it.
Mikey is not just a sexy man.
ignoring what these guys are talking about because we haven't got the faintest freaking idea what they're on about. And you say something like that, you just drop it in like a little hand grenade. What's going on?
Well,
Robots may not be able to define love, but I can tell you how not to.
Yeah. This was.
Well, I leave you with this thought that the Dalek had. After he,
Dalek
the
had?
Dalek had.
Oh, wow.
He said everybody makes mistakes as he got off a dustbin. Now, I want you to think about this.
Very good.
Exterminate.
Does not compute.
External.
78%
Hey,
of
I get Doctor
Americans.
Who references. All right,
right.
I get him.
78% of Americans identify with Christianity. 12% identify as nothing in particular. So why are we so worked up about the 1%, 1.7% who identify as Jewish and the 0.4% who identify as Muslim? Is the reality that it's not really about faith, but really is about bad guys who want to hurt us? And should we actually support the new president and extreme vet people from all countries of non-Christian faith and only let folk in from atheist and Christian countries on visa waivers?
Can I just mention one thing?
Please don't hit me. This is
No,
a
I
question
won't.
that,
It couldn't possibly be about bad guys who want to hurt us because they've now decided that, terrorism by white guys who are shooting other people doesn't really count as terrorism. So it's not about bad guys. It's about racism.
That's Leonard Pitt's new column. Did you read that? That white
Yes.
terrorism's not as dangerous.
Yes.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I mean, the bottom line is that people coming from different religions, one in particular, thinks our lifestyle is wrong.
Well, we are always afraid of something that's not us. That's different. People. It's an instinct. It's a reflex. I think people are just freaked out by something that's foreign and exotic and bizarre, and
The
also
media feeds the fear.
yeah, that's true. And admittedly,
does too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and admittedly, there's been there's ISIS and there's the Taliban and there's been violence and the extreme Islamic terrorism. So there's something that can be used by the powers to be to fend the fire. So.
But the fire is serving the purpose of the people in power, no matter what country they're in or what religion they're practicing.
They'll always be.
They
They'll
are
find something
doing
to scare you. Yeah.
They are keeping their own power, and
Tyler.
that's what it's all about.
Tyler, what do you work
I
a
kinda
lot with
echo
kids?
actually
What do you think?
I kind of echo what Kath was saying, because basically you have to create an enemy to keep people afraid.
Yeah.
And you have to create an enemy so that certain industries and certain modes of production make profit. And those happen to be the people in power generally, and they have to have an enemy. We talked about this before, about how Trump for a while was kind of making China the new enemy instead of Russia. Well, now it's maybe going to be the other way. And
It's now
going to
China,
go back.
by
Whether
the
it's
way.
the commies or the
there's
Sandinistas
always
or
an enemy. You
the
have to create an
Cubans
enemy.
or it's
I think I got a slightly different take on it. I don't think that the powers that be have to manufacture an enemy. I think that it kind of goes back to what Ivo was saying.
Yeah, I think they do actually.
I think they take advantage more so than I think that part of what makes a leader lead is recognizing how to, again, I know you guys get sick of me using this word, manipulate the people that he's leading.
And you manipulate them through fear.
Right.
So you want to create an enemy so that people become afraid of that something.
You
So
don't have to
that
create
way,
it.
that
You
way
don't
they
have to create an enemy, though. We
No.
are a tribal people. From tribal times, we fear the other.
Okay.
So, quite literally, you look at for the entirety of American, and you can go back outside of American history. You can go back to essentially any society and say, here's this society, here's the people that society were fighting against, or here's the group of people that society is afraid of. There's always, I agree with you that there's always a fear factor. I just don't know how in the times of ancient Rome, the leaders of the time would have been using
The Goths, or
Well, I mean, no, I understand that they were definitely using
Because it
these
gives them
people
more
as an
power,
enemy.
because people are afraid to speak out against them, thus it gives them more power.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I am
That's exactly what I'm saying.
right,
Let's back in my
right,
state.
and I am refuting you hardly, vociferously. The idea is the enemy is there. Like, we are trained to think of somebody outside of our little monkey sphere as being at either insignificant, if not outright dangerous.
You just said right there, we're trained to think that.
Right, but
We are trained. You
That
have to
training
be taught.
predates government. That training predates
But it's
organized
not as though.
civilization.
But it's not as though
Is
that.
that biological? then?
I'm not sure that it is necessarily biological.
Sociological.
It's for sure sociological. Yes.
Sociological,
He's doing it
biological.
again. He's using the zoological words.
it's it's really disturbing. It always seems to me that power is the ultimate goal, and fear is the fuel that is necessary for that engine to keep going and consume. And it's a detraction mechanism. It's the fear.
It doesn't work for actually solving problems. I want to ask Ivo, why did the Soviet Union fail? And why did its satellites get independence? Did it have anything to do with having war made on them by the U.S., or was it more of the fact that the U.S. didn't and acted as a role model and
Yes.
something? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
it
wasn't
it
war.
was an ideological war that was won in the stages of pop culture and economic benefits, and I think that's where the war was won. They won it on correct approach and propaganda without firing a single bullet. The Cold War was fantastic. Yeah.
So, what about the what about the idea that I've at least heard people attribute to Putin, that the ideological war is still going on and that we just won the first battle?
Yeah, I kind of agree, and now Russia is striking back and they're winning now, because I think they created, and we talked about it, they created an oligarchy, a system where it's basically what do you have the expression here, feudals? That's what Russia is,
Yeah,
and that's what
plutocracy.
and that's what we are becoming now too. That's what we're becoming. If you look at the cabinet, if you look at people holding power, this is what we are becoming, and this is a model created by Putin and Russia, and there's a huge chasm between the oligarchs and the rest of the country, and this is what's happening here now.
But in
So
reality,
they're-
is
yeah.
Kim Il Jong, or whatever his face is, at North Korea, is he actually right
About
About what?
about how to run the world?
Oh goodness gracious! No, that is a anti-utopian society. But you know what? You look at our situation here, and the White House. Don't get me started, because I'm going to freaking explode. I get so mad
Yeah,
and
we don't have
wired
that kind
up.
of time.
You know, the White House is turning to a freaking.
Don't get you started about what
it's
in
a
particular in the White House.
Freaking! I can't look at. I can't
No.
open the newspaper in the morning.
Gotta drink more.
It's turned into this
You've only
repugnant,
beer, quickly.
fecal vortex of simmering, bubbling shit, and it's
Really? Yes.
By the way, that's a great name for a rock band. great name. Simmering vortex of bubbling shit.
Oh yeah, that's good.
But man,
Thank you,
it's
Cleveland.
ridiculous. And there are parallels. There's obviously a template of dictatorship that's being followed, and there's this discredit the media, discredit critics, silence them.
But my point with the question was, which you guys have sort of gone around and up and down and over and under, is that there are a lot of people in different countries who would like to come to America and blow the shit out of New York or Washington because they hate what America stands for. And
There's a lot of people here who would like to do the same thing in return.
Yeah, his name was Timothy McVeigh.
Or maybe they're pissed about imperialism. Ever since Lawrence of Arabia,
what's wrong with imperialism? Don't
Goes
you
further
bloody
back than
start with
Lawrence of
me,
Arabia.
son. Hey, God dear. I mean, we've got very close to the Queen having to come back and sort things out.
We do come close to the Queen, but hey,
She's an old lady. She's got
back
better
to your
things to
original
be doing.
question.
I'm not really speaking for all Americans or what American idealism stands for either, because I don't believe I believe in American idealism, because it's kind of antithetical to anti-human. Because
Exceptionism.
it's antithetical to humanism in a way. But it's people are just messed up human beings and do a lot of bad stuff. Do a lot of terrible things.
Well, sometimes we
with
make people really bad.
The rise in communication and media and technology and so on, you would think that the world as a whole would be actually knowing and understanding more than they used to, and it seems to be going the other direction.
Jeremy, if you really want to solve that problem, to answer your question, what our country needs to do is go help these other nations and help build infrastructure for those nations, help give those people a better life.
That's really
that
good
way they
point.
don't hate America anymore. They actually are thankful for America, and we actually give them the American dream that we allegedly promised them. If we help them in their life in their native country, they're not going to be angry with us anymore and want to come kill us. But our government doesn't do that.
Does
We're
the opposite.
Americans. And
But neither does the Russian government, and that's the thing, and the Chinese government. And I know it
They're
sounds
isolationists,
awfully liberal, flower power, man. Hey,
That's because
but they are fantastic countries. Russia, as a place,
but you
is
always,
a lovely
but you
place. So
always,
is
when
China.
you're the top dog, you are always going to be the top target. And that's what we have been
That's
the
true.
lone superpower for half a century now, pretty much. And so because
the
of
game
that,
once you get power is to keep your power.
exactly, and so you keep everybody else down.
And you know
so
what?
You are always the top
You
target.
know what's interesting? Everybody hates us, and everybody wants to immigrate here.
Exactly.
I don't know one person. I've never met one person that actually got a green card for Russia and tried to go and immigrate to freaking Russia. Nobody wants to go
And in
immigrate
fact-
to Russia except for Snowden.
In fact, there's never been one immigrant
And
who
he
actually
wants to come
created
back.
a terrorist act on our soil.
Yeah.
Aren't the Russians going to give them to us as a gift to Trump? Isn't Putin going to?
Oh,
That
God.
was something that
Trump
was
is
said.
birthday present.
And Snowden indicated, well, that's not a bad idea.
So,
Get me out of here.
Jeremy, I just want to. I've not had a chance yet.
Oh,
to,
you're
to
joining in again.
Join in
Dr.
with this
Orlando?
conversation.
Right. Thought this was below you.
No, I was very interested to hear what the rest of the panel had to say. I think your question is a red herring. I think to say that we are somehow working to, or that President Trump is somehow working to make us safer by instituting the travel ban, overlooks the fact that the real danger comes from places that aren't even listed in a travel ban. If this was motivated by a genuine desire for safety, we would have a completely different set of circumstances than we do right
the
now.
Boston bombers
Yeah,
came
true.
from Russia. The
9/11 was from
9/11 Saudi
Saudi
Arabia
Arabia.
and Yemen. You know, this
Well,
is
he
all
can't
BS.
annoy those countries. He's got investments there.
There's a lot of money.
Okay, I want to ask
Well,
you
yeah,
one.
Trump's got a
I
lot of
want to
money in
ask
those
you guys
countries. Yeah.
very quickly one very important question. Then I want to get on to the Gramophone Awards, and that is Johnson and Johnson. Now we all know who Johnson and Johnson are. Doesn't matter whether we're
that satanic
conservatives or whether we're liberals or whoever it is.
I thought
everybody
they were
has
twin porn stars.
Everybody has something
Johnson
made
and
by
Johnson.
Johnson & Johnson in their bathroom. They have decided corporately that they are going to save the oceans by ditching cotton buds. They are no longer going to make cotton buds. And this actually is
you mean.
Q-tips. Yes.
No, come
this
on,
is,
cotton is not a problem.
This
The
this
plastic
is it's the plastic, and this in fact is actually quite important because if you don't have any more cotton buds, what the fuck are you going to stick in your ear, right?
I thought they were putting on paper anyway, so that's
so
solo.
what is the best use other than sticking an earwig in your ear? What we call them earwigs. What are your uses for cotton buds? Because
Well,
obviously
it's
there's
an
going to be a
interesting
campaign
detailing
about
paint
this.
Interesting segue from the the end of the world question.
Well, it's
to
in-
thinking, what are we
Q-tips is the
going
end
to
of the
use to
world.
clean our
As Sherlock
ears?
Holmes would say, it's indicative, young Evo. It's indicative.
True,
Okay.
true.
Okay. When you have an ulcer in your mouth and you want to put a dot of some strong medicine in it, the only thing you can use is a Q-tip.
I think every doctor has
Gotta have
discredited
'em for
the use
that.
of Q-tips. I think the doctors claim that it's not a good way to clean your
I'm not
ear.
talking about
That is
ears.
true.
I'm talking about putting
cleaning
on.
your ears with them. Talk about. I've used them to get paint out of very detailed wood.
Mm-hmm.
You put the stripper on the Q-tip, and then little edges and little grooves on wood pieces to get the paint
They're
out.
great for applying glue
Stripper on
to
a
small
Q-tip.
things.
How about that for a rock band?
Stripper on a
What do you say?
Q-tip. Give it up for stripper on a Q-tip.
Is there a viable environmental friendly alternative to cotton on a stick?
Well, the thing is, you see, they started to make cardboard sticks, but they didn't hold up under the pressure. When you stuff it in your ear, and you get up a bit, and you got that zit, you got to squeeze with it, you got to have a plastic stick because the
Be more
cardboard
We
is
need
just
something
break.
better for a side lobotomy,
Oh, come on! Everybody's tried to squeeze a zit with a Q-tip, haven't they?
No,
I
man.
can't say that I
No.
have.
No, man.
in your ear.
Okay, so what were your
Don't
best
ask.
moments? What were your best moments from the Gramophone Awards?
That I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I'm going to second that one.
Grammys.
Second that.
So hang on,
Grammys
how
were-
many people didn't watch the Gramophone Awards?
Not
Zero.
me.
1,
Here.
2, 3. Okay.
One side of the
I
table
watched
didn't, the other
some
side
of it.
did. That's interesting. Why is that?
Favorite moments from the Gramophone Awards, Dr. Orlando.
When I went to bed.
I'm going to sound really lame when I say this, but I really, really, really enjoyed the
Really,
obviously-
really.
The Bruno Mars.
No.
No?
The obviously contrived scene that was supposed to be spontaneous and viral, where James Corden got a bunch of artists together along with Neil Diamond to sing "Sweet Caroline." That was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Favorite moment from the show.
Yeah, everything about the Grammys is fake. Every speech, every costume is ridiculous. Did you freaking see CeeLo Green's costume? I wanted to.
Green was awesome.
I was gonna shoot him if I was.
Very interesting
This
point.
freaking
His whole
ridiculous.
is it called? His new thing is Gnarly
Where she
Davidson,
jumped off the roof. or
which
something.
is a band here in Lawrence.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Gnarly Davidson.
Oh, they can sue his ass right now.
They've already-
He was,
yeah.
guys. I've seen a lot of horrible costumes. Like Lady Gaga was dressed as an egg a few years ago. It was gestating inside an egg or something stupid. This was the worst I've ever seen. He was dressed. First of all, he looked like a gold-plated frog, and he was dressed like some kind of a soccer trophy. It was insane. You have to see it to believe it. Do yourself a favor and don't Google it because
And-
it's absolutely. You will never ever forget it. It's
I can
horrible.
take that advice.
That's why I don't watch the Grammys right there.
And then I liked.
He
that-
had to release a press statement just because of how stupid it was.
freaking peanut on a monkey's ass is what he is. And you,
Is that a good name for a rock band
yeah,
too?
and
No, that's the
and
name of the
then,
album.
What I liked about the Grammys was that Black Star by David Bowie won 4 Grammy Awards.
Right.
And that was actually a good album. If you listen to it, very sad, devastating. I mean, this is an album that is contemplation of death and inevitability, and it was beautiful, and it was nice to see the album recognized. Then Adele won and beat up on Beyonce, whose Lemonade was supposed to win everything, and instead I think he won just one award,
1, 2.
2, and Adele just destroyed.
She won.
she went
What,
5
what
for
I
5.
my favourite bit actually was Adele when she did the tribute to George Michael, and she fluffed it, and she knew she fluffed it. And Adele hates performing. She just I happen to know that she hates
Yep.
performing
Live?
She'll do it at a pub.
Did you find this out from her while she was
Yes.
whispering sweet nothings in your ear?
She'd stand up here and do it, right? But she didn't want, and she realised that she was off pitch, so she stopped.
Yep.
And it's unheard of to do something like that.
Like Mariah
You know-
Carey would never do that.
Right. And she stopped.
She pre-records in perfect pitch, so
Yeah. So she stopped and restarted. And I thought that, particularly for that human being, for that lady, was very difficult and very brave. And then she got it absolutely bang on, got it right. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I like the number of Brits that win.
Adele. Well, yeah, there were a lot of Brits.
Such favoritism.
Homer.
Yeah.
Queen Bey, African sun goddess.
Chance the Rapper won a lot of awards, and that's a
That's
like
a good
very-
name for a dog, Chance the Rapper.
Chance the Rapper. Yeah, it's I mean he's talented. Very
Eric
young guy
wanted
from
to.
Chicago.
Eric, the producer, wanted to say something. Oh, was it? Oh, right.
Oh.
Okay, what I said.
So
Adele, yeah.
So for the folks that watched it, what did you guys think of Queen Bee in her sun goddess role?
She is going to save the world.
yeah,
She's going to save the world.
How pregnant is she? Like 6 months or something?
With Jedi twins.
Yeah, there'll be like a couple of twin gay porn stars, Johnson and Johnson.
And they'll have crazy names.
Johnson and Johnson.
So I have a friend that was kind of live tweeting as the show was going on, and he said, somebody should tell Beyonce that women have had children before.
Yeah.
What's her last name, by the way? Beyonce?
No, her maiden name was Knowles.
You know that
So the kids are going to be Johnson and Johnson Knowles.
No, they would be Johnson and Johnson
Beyonce
Carter.
Knowles.
is she gonna pose for
Carter.
Vanity Fair? You know the famous pregnant pose where you're naked, where everybody's like
Dude,
every
she
woman.
was just on the Grammys in a bikini with her belly hanging out. She doesn't
But
need to
Vanity
do Vanity Fair.
Remember when Demi Moore did the Vanity Fair?
Yeah.
She was
Oh,
the first
yeah.
one. Not
Yeah.
many people know she on that picture. She was actually pregnant with Ashton Kutcher.
Thank you for your contributions. You've been listening to Wednesday Night Undressed. And we want to say thank you again to the panel, the Magic Dr. Orlando, the indefatigable Kathleen Taylor, the legendary Tyler Durden, the Dark Lord of Transylvanian Pheromones, Ivan Ivanov, and guesting tonight, straight from the Army, Chris Magerkurth,
Yeah.
and Mikey, the stand-up physicist. We want to thank Eric.
Heisenberg principle.
Yes, we call him Mikey from Heidelberg.
Yes.
I think that's what he should be. Fresh from Heidelberg stand-up. I want to thank Eric, the engineer, of course. Our producer isn't here today. He's off on the piss. And Conroy for letting us do this.
Hold
and
on for just a
supplying-
second. Thank you, Jeremy. We don't ever get a chance to say that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Jeremy. Thank you.
Oh, love him.
Wait, there's
Yeah.
no word of the day?
Hey, screw you.
We don't talk about that anymore.
Fuck you all.
There we are.
Nothing else to talk about? What do you guys want to talk about? You guys want to talk? I have my